Good evening. You guys hear me back there? Yes, no, maybe. Tim's saying no. All right, I'm going to swallow this thing again like I did last time. Welcome. I'd like to call our October 2nd meeting to order. Is this any better? Nope. We'll do like Bill, just get them stand up. Welcome for being here, and I hope if you can't hear me, just raise your hand and I'll scream as loud as I can. At this time, I would ask Commissioner Bill Lawhon for the invocation and the pledge to allegiance. Commissioner.
Let me invite you to join me in prayer, if you would. Father, we do thank you for the time of year that we're having and the beautiful weather that we're having. We thank you for the many blessings that you give us each and every day. And we thank you most of all for our Savior, Jesus Christ, who died and rose. And thank you for that privilege. We thank you for this county, and we ask that as we make decisions, that are good for our citizens, and that you are pleased with those decisions. Forgive us when we fail you, because we are all sinners. These things I pray in Christ's name. Amen.
Thank you, Commissioner. At this time, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
All right. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Yes, sir, Vice Chairman. Okay, I have a motion to excuse Patty from our meeting tonight. As second, Commissioner Shudo. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Our first item is public comment. And the first one that's signed up is Miss Jody Hathcock. Come on up, ma'am.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to share tonight. My name is Jody Hathcock. My husband Joshua and I are both Stanley County natives. Together we are raising our 4 children in the same Indy community that I grew up in. Multiple generations of our families have called this county home. I work 2 jobs here, and I'm actively involved with Leadership Stanley. I would say I love Stanley County. I trust you all are aware of the situation that I shared with you on September the 3rd when my son picked up a dirty needle on the outside of the kids' wing of our church. Our church does not own this building, but it rents it from Open Hands of North Carolina, Incorporated. I'll not dwell on the anguish I felt for weeks wondering about the what-ifs of my son's health. That's not my focus. This incident did, however, lead me to educate myself about the URI Harm Reduction Initiative that operates out of that same building. UHRI receives funding from a class action lawsuit against drug manufacturers and federal grants. They staff 2 people, one from Salisbury and one from Lexington. The executive director of Open Hands resides outside of Stanley County. I live 3 miles from the old UMC Tabernacle Church. This is home to me. The Clean Needle Project is only a part of what UHRI, Open Hands, and Grace Place does to serve our community. They provide warm meals, health care, peer support, a place to do laundry, as well as many other things. I am not opposed to any of that. I do, however, question the act of handing out clean syringes from a facility that is not a hospital or a health department. I met with Bob Harmon and Gay Smith just last week. They told me that they limit the number of syringes they pass out to 50 per person per week. They also stated that some of our neighboring counties give out cases at a time. I commend UHRI for not doing this. What I found extremely concerning, however, was that they only see a return rate of 1/3 of those syringes, returned or exchanged. So 2/3 of the syringes passed out 3 miles from my home are never accounted for. The definition of exchange is the act of giving one thing and receiving another, especially of the same type or value, in return. North Carolina House Bill 972 made syringe exchange programs legal in North Carolina on July the 11th, 2016. The programs in Stanley and surrounding counties are not operating in a one-for-one exchange. Do they not track how many needles were provided to each person and inform them that they will only get new needles for the ones that they return? I refuse to accept this as a symptom of society that Bob Herman stated in his email to me on September 11th. He said, syringes are found in parks, school grounds, public spaces, and many other places that are unacceptable. This is not an excuse for the one that was found on our property, but it is a symptom of society. One syringe is one too many. He said himself, one syringe is one too many. This is not the society we want. Is this program reducing harm and contributing to the safety of our kids and community, or do those clean needles turn into dirty needles and litter our streets even more? So my question is, what is our focus? What is Stanley County's priorities? Is it enabling safe drug use, or is it the children? Is it ensuring that we have fully staffed schools and buses with drivers to get them there? Is it ensuring that they have a safe community to grow up in? As a mother with 4 children in our school system, 2 in elementary, 1 in a middle, and 1 in a high school in our county, I am so incredibly grateful that Stanley County recently funded the placement of school resource officers at every school in the county. Thank you so much for that. Please continue this trend and help make our communities safer as well. Please hold those accountable under the law of exchange. Please move this program to a safer area. Their future is in your hands. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. The next one I have signed up is Miss Martha Engel. Miss Engel, you might want to pull that mic down to you. Just
Is that better? Thank you.
yes, ma'am. Thank you.
I'm 82 years old, and I wanted to tell you that I tried to get down alternative to divide this land that's in question. I got sick, and I had to get an extension on my taxes. I was in hospital 13 days in March. I had to take oxygen 6 weeks at home, 24/7 with somebody with me. And I want you to know I lost my first child at 17, 44. I was 44 years old. My husband had a stroke at 45 years old. I've made a living since I was 45, and my oldest daughter died 4 years ago, 55 years old, October the 27th. My husband died at 68. I have been under doctors for 4 years, have blood work done every 3 months, never asked for food stamps or anything. I paid $12,642.61 state, federal, and county tax the last 2 months. I'm asking you to rezone my 4 acres and let me do what I want to with it. I paid taxes on it. I paid for the land. I think my rights are being taken away, and that devastates me after all I have already been through. And I own this land, and I thank you for your time. And I want you to know I've lost a lot, not even counting this here right now I'm going through today. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
I want to show him one thing. I just want you to look at the first picture. And I just want you to tell me what you think the children would be like if they were children and they were grown up and not just turned their body. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I'm sorry, but I cannot read the next name. Sadina, maybe? Whoever signed up after Miss Engel, I'm sorry, I can't read the writing. It don't have. Okay. All right. We'll go to the next one. Madison Morton. Welcome.
Hey, how are you?
Good.
I'm Madison Morton. We've been living at the trailer park, Richard Honeycutt's trailer park, for at least since July the 23rd. And he did not let us know anything about this that was going on. And I had, can I give you my paperwork? Okay. like I said, we've been living there for at least a month. We just paid our rent and everything, and the cops come out and told us, about all this. But I'm just making a complaint, and I have a child. It's 9 years old, and my husband. And as hard as it is to find somewhere to live right now, just struggling and stuff. And we just moved in, and I just wanted to make a complaint.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question, Mr. Chairman. Did she give you a title to a mobile home? Lease agreement, okay.
And what's the complaint? I mean, exactly. What is the complaint exactly?
Mr. Honeycutt didn't let them know that this was going on.
This item's on our agenda for a public hearing.
Yep.
Around the Tom Road.
Okay, Tom Road.
Yep. It's item number 6. Okay, thank you. Kyle Morton? You good, sir? Yeah. Okay. All right. And does that require a public hearing, item 6? Okay. 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 We'll have a public hearing on this matter when we get to it. That's all I have. Does anybody else would like to speak? All right. Thank you very much. Second item is Airport Authority appointment, and our presenters, the Airport Director, Mr. Randy Shank.
Good afternoon. Hope everybody's doing well this evening.
Good evening, Randy.
The Airport Authority is seeking replacement for Board Member David M. Rudisell. Mr. Rudisell resigned his appointment to the Airport Authority Board effective 9/6/23. The vacated position term will expire on March the 31st, 2025. We're asking you to please appoint a new member from the qualified applications presented to complete the term vacated by Mr. Rudisell. I've got those names for you, and I think you've got them in a packet there in alphabetical order. I just listed them as Steve Bradley, Gerald Eford, James Faust, and Scott Stevenson.
Thank you, sir. All right, at this time, I'll open up the floor for nominations.
I'd like to nominate James Faust.
All right, anyone else?
I'd like to nominate Steve Bradley.
Steve Bradley. Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Rudisell resigning makes me think a lot of Mr. Roger Dick. I commend him on looking after a conflict of interest that could oppose or arise, and I just hope in consideration that we don't look after sometimes the appearance of a conflict of interest, where it is or not, is worse than actually the conflict. So I just appreciate Mr. Dick for doing what he did, and hope we can keep that same thing going on the board.
All right, thanks, sir. All right, we'll go in reverse order. All those for Mr. Bradley. 1, 2. All those for Mr. Faust. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, Mr. Faust is appointed to fulfill Mr. Rudisell's term for 3/31/25.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Everything going all right out there?
Yes, sir.
How you liking that new gig out there?
Do what?
How you liking that new job out there?
I'm loving it.
Good. Thank you, sir. All right, our next item is the CAD system replacement financing, and our presenter is Mr. Toby Henson, Finance Director. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. The commissioners authorized and approved the replacement of the 911 CAD system back in 2022. Along with this, the board approved that staff seek financing for $2.5 million for this project. Being that 911 staff has secured a 911 grant for somewhere around $779,000, and they were able to receive approval from the 911 board for additional appropriation of surcharge funds. Looks like the amount that we are needing to finance now is $2 million. And what we're seeking is a $2 million loan that will have a 12-year term and have payments on a monthly basis. We sent out 6 RFPs to 6 different financial institutions, and we received 4 bids back. The bids came from First Bank, Pinnacle Bank, Truist, and URA Bank. And the lowest interest rate that was bid was by First Bank at 3.93%. Like I said, we were seeking 12-year term, and what that amounts to be is a monthly payment of around $17,495 a month, with a total annual payments would total $209,940 for a year. And again, this will be for 12 years. I have spoken with representative from the local government commission because we will have to seek their approval for this loan. And they spoke very favorable of this rate, and they said it's made a statement according to the effect of that it's been a while since they've seen a rate quite like this, and anything for this amount and the terms to be less than 4, they spoke very favorable of it. I guess we're seeking there are 3 different items that we need to have tonight. One being the public hearing, and then we need to approve the financial institution to provide this loan, and we'll need approval of 2 resolutions, the LGC resolution and the bank financing resolution. So before, I guess, you hold the public hearing, does anyone have any questions?
Any questions for Mr. Henson? All right. At this time, I will declare the public hearing open. Anyone here to speak for or against the CAD system replacement financing? Anyone? All right, I will close the public hearing. The first item would be to review and approve the financial institution to finance the CAD system replacement. What's the pleasure of the board?
I make a motion that we go with First Bank at the 3.93%, 12 years.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner King. I have a second by Vice Chairman Barbie. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? All right, that motion passes 6-0. And the next item would be the consider and approval of the LGC resolutions to authorize the bank financing application and the bank financing resolution. Can we approve those, Miss Jenny, in one motion, or do you need it separate?
Make a motion that we approve both resolutions.
All right, got a motion that we approve both resolutions. Do I have a second? Second by Commissioner Hatley. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Thank you, sir.
All right.
Appreciate you. Our next item is department head presentation. Board of Elections, and Miss Kim Blackwater. Miss Blackwater, good to see you again.
Good evening. Give me just 1 second to get my presentation up. So I'm here tonight just to give you an update of some of the things that the Board of Elections office is working on currently. We have 4 main projects that we're working on right now in preparation of the 2024 election cycle. One of those is high school outreach. We're recruiting Election Day student assistants and a student ambassador to help with that recruitment process. We're hosting an I Voted sticker contest with our Stanley County 5th graders. We are holding an open house on what would be Election Day this year, November 7th, but we do not have elections in odd years, so we're doing our open house as a kickoff to the election cycle. And then we're conducting photo ID outreach for the requirement to show a photo ID when you vote in the 2024 elections. So our high school outreach consists of 2 items. One are student assistants. These students work on election day at a precinct. They must be ages 17 or older, enrolled in a public, private, or homeschool in the county, and have permission of their parent and the principal of their school. They do receive training just like their adult counterparts, and they also receive compensation for their work. A student ambassador is a new program that we've launched this year. We are trying to find at least 1 to 2 students at each high school that can help us recruit student assistants, someone who would be willing to help us get out information, voter registration, things like that at each school. This requires a recommendation of a teacher or staff member, and they have to commit a set number of hours to work at our office. This is not paid, so this is civic engagement for them. It's good on their college applications, resumes, and so forth. Our next project is our I Voted sticker contest. We accepted submissions through last Friday, the 29th. We received 24 submissions from 5th grade classes. The classes voted and narrowed it down to 2 entries per class. The Board of Elections will meet tomorrow at 4 o'clock, and they will narrow those entries down to 5. Then we will post the entries on our Facebook page, and our early voting will be done on Facebook from the 19th through November the 3rd. And then at our open house, we will have in-person voting where we have ballots. People will come and check in, receive their ballot, and cast their ballot. And then we will tally up the votes and see who the winner will be, and that sticker will be used in the next presidential election cycle. The next item is our open house. We will be holding multiple things, events, and activities on that day. We'll be doing equipment demonstrations for our DS200 and the Express Vote, our accessible equipment. We will be giving out voter information about photo IDs and making photo ID for anyone who needs one. We'll have registration, of course, and information on how to conduct a registration drive. We'll be giving out candidate filing information and different information about voting and the different ways to vote next year. And then we will have some physical activity with election relays. So we're going to try to find volunteers to compete against each other, putting together voting booths the fastest and finding the golden ballot and things like that. So if any of you would like to volunteer to be on a team, it'll be from 11 to 3 on November the 7th. So try to come and participate with us. And then the last thing is our photo ID outreach. We are supplying voter photo ID cards for any voter who does not currently have an acceptable photo ID. The requirement to get a voter photo ID card
is you must be a registered voter and you must complete a form and provide us with your date of birth and your social security number. You can get one of these even if you do have a valid photo ID. You can still get one, but this ID is only good for voting purposes, so you can't use it for anything else other than voting. The deadline for us to issue these IDs is we can issue them all the way up through the last day of early voting. So anyone who needs one can get one up through the end of early voting. We will be traveling around the county to different areas to offer these IDs to people. So in Albemarle, we'll be at the Senior Center, the Waddell Center, the Niven Community Building. We'll be in West Stanley at their Senior Center and the Library Community Building. Then we'll be in New London, Baden, and Norwood. And then we're also going to the different nursing home facilities because even absentee by mail voters are required to have a photo ID and submit a copy of that ID. So we're trying to help the area of the registered voters who we feel like would have a difficult time doing that. So we feel like going to the nursing homes is a need to help them with that part of the photo ID requirement. And then just a little bit more about photo ID. As I said, there are acceptable types of photo ID. These can be expired up to 1 year. A driver's license, a state ID, passport, our photo ID card, a state-approved college and government employee IDs. Those have to go, the school or the government entity has to go through an approval process through the State Board of Elections to have their ID approved. Other IDs that do not need an expiration date or have an expiration limit are military and veterans IDs, tribal enrollment cards of a state or federally recognized tribe, and then a public assistance ID card. Voters who are over the age of 65 can use an expired ID for an infinite amount of time as long as it was valid when they were 65 years old. And then absentee by mail voters do have to provide a copy of their photo ID with their ballot. Voters who do not have a photo ID will be allowed to vote a provisional ballot, and they can either bring their ID back to our office if they forgot it. If they do not have an ID for a specific reason, then there is an exception form. Those exceptions include an impediment to obtaining an ID, such as they don't have the required documents, they've lost their ID, it was stolen, different things like that. They have a religious objection to being photographed, or they were a victim of a natural disaster within 100 days of the election. And also, if they're unable to make a copy of their ID for an absentee voter, then that's an exception as well. So that is what we're working on at the elections office. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer those at this time.
Any questions for Ms. Blackwater?
I do. I think someone has a question.
What if you ain't never been ready to vote?
If you've never registered to vote, we have registration forms at our office. You can go online and register through the DMV. There's multiple ways. The town hall has registration forms. Libraries have registration forms. If you'll give me your name, I can mail you a registration form and you can fill it out and register.
And how you don't know how to fill them out, you can't read and write that good.
You can have anyone can help you fill out the form. You just have to sign the form or make a mark on the form.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fine. That's all I want to know.
Okay.
Kim, to get your photo ID, it said your date of birth and your social security number. Do you have to bring your birth certificate in, or just supply?
You do not.
Okay.
No, that validation part's done when you register to vote. So you have to be a registered voter.
Okay.
In order for us to issue the ID. If you are not registered, then we can register you, but we have to verify your information, and then we will mail the photo ID later.
Okay. All right. Any more questions?
Yeah, which some of the new stuff? I think the college ID is a newer one, isn't it? Or has that been?
The college IDs were used, I believe, or
back.
they were going to be used, and then we had the court injunction. So student IDs and government employee IDs have not been used in an election yet. But
Okay, then also, when I was at the NCACC conference, I was in the election one from Wake County, and they talked about how this, and it may throw people a curve, is having a photocopy with the absentee ballots. And they said they had to buy different envelopes up there, and it was gonna cost more money. They're more expensive envelopes or something to use?
There is an extra envelope required now. The voter has to put their ballot in one envelope and their photo ID copy in the other envelope, and then they take those two envelopes and put them in the return envelope. So there's actually 3 envelopes the voter has to use when they're returning their ballot. And they are a specific size, in order to avoid more postage, I believe was the goal for that. That's a state-designed system, so we didn't have anything with that process.
Also, signatures. 'Cause I think about that often. You know, when you have to match signatures and stuff. My signature changes almost every time I sign it. So what kind of variances do they use? Is it just, you know, when you're verifying IDs? Because someone who signed the original thing, say they registered to vote in 1975, their signature on file may be completely different than what they use now.
Are you talking about verifying the signature for their ballot, for their absentee ballot? Well, in North Carolina, we have the witness system, so the voter has to have 2 witnesses or a notary. So that is how the signature is verified through our absentee ballot process.
And then one more, well, maybe 2, because, you know, I love talking to you about this stuff. You hear people wanted to have one-day voting, everything on one day, no early voting, no mail. How realistic would that be to vote everybody on one day?
It would be extremely difficult in a presidential election or even an off-year general when we have a high turnout, unless we were to have a lot more election day voting sites. We would have to double or triple our voting sites on election day in order to handle the volume.
And lastly, I promise, the process of people say they want to hand count all the ballots. And how many people does it take to count one ballot? What's the process to do when you have to? I think when you guys audit them, you have to go through a process. Can you explain that process?
We actually do hand count some of the ballots after each election. We have a sample audit count where the state board randomly draws 2 to 4 precincts, and we bring in a team, depending on how many ballots we have to count. So it takes at least one team of 4 to hand count ballots. So you'll have one person calling the vote, one person watching that person call the vote, and then 2 people tallying that vote. And those 2 people who are tallying have to stay on the same, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tally. And if they get off, then we have to figure out why. But it takes at least 4, and normally when we do sample audit counts, we have at least 2 to 3 teams of 4, and that's for 1 to 2 or 2 to 4 precincts. So it would take a lot of people to hand count every ballot.
All right.
I just want to thank you for what you and your staff do. I mean, you guys go above and beyond to help anybody out in there. So I know y'all have helped me out a bunch of questions I have. So thank y'all so much.
Thank you.
Kimberly, I think the lady behind you has another question.
Okay.
What we gonna do about them trailers down there where we stand on Tom Road out?
All right, we'll get to that in just a second, ma'am. That's down the agenda.
That's somebody else, not me.
All right. Hold on one second, ma'am.
Goodness.
All right, Kimberly, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Our next item is item number 5, ZA 23-08, Charles Herring, Redbird Road, and our presenter is Mr. Bob Rinsberg, Planning Director.
Good evening, Joe.
Good evening, Bob.
Good to see you, and good to be here. Let's see if we can get our slideshow going here. So, yes, we do have a fairly basic rezoning request, and if anything, you might think of it as a reverse rezoning kind of thing, because it's most of the time we're what we would call upzoning. This would be considered a downzoning in a way. So we're going from an R20 district to an RA district. So Christian Herring has requested to rezone 21.61 acre parcel that he owns from R20 residential to RA residential agricultural. He's indicated he plans to continue farming and forestry practices on this parcel, which is located at the end of Redbird Road, which is a short state-maintained right-of-way off of Ridge Street, south of Mountain View Church Road, and, of course, south of the airport. Adjacent parcels are all zoned RA or R20, located in the airport overlay district, which really doesn't have a bearing on this change, and then is in a secondary growth area. And I've got a couple of slides here, talk a little bit about what I'm just saying here on the bullet points. An area of flood zone exists on the west end of the property line along Mountain Creek, but there's no public water or public sewer available to the property. He indicated at the planning board meeting that he plans to move his family to the property at some point in the near future, and that they would likely place a manufactured home on the property first, and then, as finances allow, construct a site-built home, which, of course, a lot of people do that in this county. Once the home is complete, he would plan to remove that mobile home. All adjoiners and those owning parcels within 100 feet were notified, and the property was posted over 10 days prior to the planning board meeting and, of course, before this meeting. No neighbors expressed opposition to the proposed rezoning at the planning board meeting, which was held on September 11th, and the planning board did vote unanimously to recommend approval of this rezoning request. This is the Herring property. As you can see at this point, it's nearly totally wooded. Redbird Road's off to the right, and I'll step it back a little bit. You get a little bit larger view of Mountain Creek Church Road at the north. Winston-Salem southbound railroad kind of off to the west. Commissioner's property off to the left there, Trent. And anyhow, but you see, and Ridge Street, of course, pointed south. But you can also see the flood zone areas there on the left side of the screen. Kind of related, you can see where it's zoned. The areas to the north are zoned RA. Areas to the south, east, and west are zoned R20 at the way it's currently done. And I did not include this in your packet, but just realized that this afternoon. I thought, well, let me throw this in there because it kind of doesn't apply too much, but it's kind of interesting in this particular corner of the county, kind of caught between Albemarle and the airport. You've got really a mixture of everything. So areas closer to Albemarle, primary growth areas, areas in between, of course, what we call secondary growth areas, which includes the Herring property. See some rural preservation areas sneaking in on the right side, the east side here. And then, of course, closer you get to the airport, you hit the airport compatibility area. So that's part of the land use plan. So I'll be glad to answer any questions that you have, but that's simply the request that's before you to take the Herring property from, in this case, the kind of orangey color to green to make it from R20 to RA.
All right, thanks, sir.
Mr. Chairman.
Any questions? Yes, sir, Commissioner.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Bob, this is not in the rural preservation.
That's correct.
So if he decided to sell some of this property, what lot sizes could someone build a house on?
He could cut off some lots. Of course, he'd be limited in the number based on access. If it's served by an access easement, it could probably create no more than 4 lots. But he would be, because he'd be RA and not in a rural preservation area, he'd be at 40,000 square feet for those lots.
Which is 0.923.
0.92 acres. Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any more questions?
Is the reason that he wants to go to the RA is because, does R20 allow for manufactured homes?
R20 does not allow for manufactured homes.
So that's the reason, is that the ultimate reason that he wants to?
Probably better for him to answer that question, but yes, I mean, he's expressed that in order for him to afford to have a place for his family to live for now, that would do it. And of course, he's 21 acres. You know, he could potentially, under current zoning rules, keep that manufactured home on the property, even once he built a house. But you know, we're looking at those rules right now. But he has indicated that he would plan, once he got the house built, to remove that mobile home. I say we've seen that done a lot in the county over the years. It's a fairly common move that people make. Will put in a in the RA district. They'll put in a manufactured home, live in it while they're building or something. So it's fairly common.
I talked to Mr. Herring, and he seems legit. He wants to have a farm and build some small barns,
Yeah.
animals.
I
And
believe he's got 4 children.
yeah, he's got 4 kids.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you, sir. Any more questions for Mr. Remsburg? All right, at this time, I will open a public hearing. Anyone here to speak for or against ZA 23-08, Redbird Road? All right, I will declare the public hearing closed. All right, what's the pleasure of the board? Yes, sir, Mr. Vice Chairman. Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hatley. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Thank you, Bob. Anything else, sir?
Well, I'll let Tim go on up. I'll get the slide. We have a couple of slides related to the issues on Tom Road.
Okay. Next item is item number 6, minimum housing code. Tom Road, and our presenter is Tim Swearingen. Mr. Swearingen.
Mr. Chairman.
Good evening, sir.
Commissioners. We don't get to this point in code enforcement very often, but unfortunately we find ourselves there tonight. To give you a little history, we received complaints concerning the conditions of the manufactured homes at the Honeycutt Mobile Home Park at 3545 Tom Road. We investigated on the 9th of February and began cases. And we had a public hearing before the housing enforcement officer, which is myself. We did a determining of facts in the case, and we issued the order on April 11th that the homes were in fact unfit for human habitation and in violation of the minimum housing code as approved by this board. And we ordered that each of the mobile homes in the cases be vacated as soon as possible, and we gave Mr. Honeycutt 90 days to either correct the violations or to demolish and remove those mobile homes. That deadline was July the 12th. It appears there has not been any significant changes in the conditions to bring them into compliance. So the next step in the process would be to present ordinance for the Board of Commissioners to adopt in order to carry out the original order to demolish and remove. It's been a while since we've done any of these. I believe Scott, maybe Peter may have been the only.
It's been a while. I think Bill was on there as when Mr. Honeycutt, and what we did, we gave him months to correct them, and he did not correct them. But I don't think we had the situation where the people who were actually living there did not know till the last minute. I think if I'm correct, I don't know.
Okay.
That's been a while. That's probably been 5 or 6 years
Point
ago.
of order, if you would like, I think this is the way we did them before. We took each mobile home one at a time, presented it, opened it up for public hearing, and then closed the hearing and let you guys vote on the issue. If that's agreeable, Mr. Chairman, if you'd like to do it that way, that might be a little less confusing.
Saying, I'm sorry, I was listening to Peter.
Take each case one at a time.
Okay.
For each dwelling, and present them.
Okay.
Separately. I don't think legally since they're 6 different dwellings, even though they're on the same property, they're 6 different dwellings.
Okay.
So I think we'd be in legal order to take them one at a time would be more appropriate.
Okay, all right. We did have a question, Vice Chairman Barbie.
I was gonna ask how many of the mobile homes were occupied?
At the time, there was 6 of them. We had complaints on 7. The one, mobile home lot 5, was found to have been never CO'd. No one was trying to live in it at the time, and we had determined that the permits had expired on it. It hadn't been inspected, or a CO had not been issued for it. So we're treating it as a zoning violation rather than a housing code case. So that one is going through another process. But the other 6 were occupied at the time. A couple of them have been vacated, but then they've had folks come back in, unbeknownst to us, a couple of times. But I think all those that were present at the hearings that we held in our office, I think they have all been notified along the way, for different times. Like I say, I believe number 6 stated earlier that they weren't aware of anything going on. Mr. Honeycutt and the previous tenants were notified, and he was notified not to let the houses out until they were brought up to code. So that's where we're at on those. But if you'd like to, we'll go ahead with each one, if that's, is that okay with the board?
So we just need to hold one public hearing, or
I believe we'd need to, Jenny, you may.
or we need to hold 7?
Uh,
I believe
6.
it would be cleaner, Mr. Chairman, if we could hold 6 different hearings.
Okay. All right, so I got lot 1, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay.
So we'll,
All right.
we'll start with lot 1.
Okay.
We did notify Mr. Honeycutt originally. The tenant at the time was here. She's still here.
Okay.
Tonight, she was informed of each and every step that we've taken in this process. Mr. Honeycutt has been served with proper notice of
Okay.
every step. So
All right.
the last time I was at the house was last week. It does appear that nothing has been done to rectify the violations, so it would be my recommendation that we proceed on with this one.
Okay. All right. At this time, any more questions for Mr. Swearingen before
And this is lot 1.
lot 1? All right. At this time, I will open up a public hearing to the ordinance to demolish lot number 1. Anyone here to speak for or against? Yes, ma'am. Come on up. Is this lot 1? All right. Well, come on. If you don't mind, ma'am, just come on up and to the microphone.
And I've been down there for 6 years.
Yes, ma'am.
And I've been asking that man to give me a back door. And he put up a back door, but he didn't put it up together. And my leg twisted, my sockets, what you plug in the wall there. He won't fix that. I've been asking that man for the longest. I've been down there for 6 years. And I'm old, and I done had a stroke since I've been down there. And I've been begging that man to come and fix. And he don't fix. And I tells him, you don't fix, you don't get no pay. You want your pay? I want my house fixed. Now don't y'all want y'all pay? Now don't y'all want y'all house fixed? And so did I. But it's something that really, and he won't come and pick up no trash. He don't come and get no trash. He take time out at his place with the drug dealers and the alcohol, and he do his place down there. He don't come down there and check on it. Instead of him coming, he sends somebody else. And ain't nobody gonna put their money in nobody else's hand. And they do, he write out a receipt, and then we go back up there. You didn't pay me. Oh, yes, I did. You sent that man out here. And he sent people out there that disrespectful. It's really disrespectful. And we ain't got nowhere to put no trash or no nothing.
Okay.
That house, but my nephew come in. He working on mine. And when you get somebody to come in and work for you, Richard don't want you to do that. He don't want you to have nobody come in there and fix. He ready for his drunk men and dope men to come in and fix. And they have fixed. They must be outdoors up on their truck drinking a beer. And you're supposed to be working on my house. And I constantly fuss at the workers. Cause I can't fuss at Richard, cause he won't come. He is nowhere around. Nowhere around. And really, God knows in heaven I'm not lying. Something needs to be done.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, do you mind giving us your name, please?
Barbara Ann Burns.
Thank you.
If he could take time out, stealing convertibles and stuff out of cars, and stealing cars and buying drugs and getting caught with drugs and trafficking with drugs, why come he can't do that? Well, now what that money he take? Now why come he can't come down there and fix them trailers?
All right, ma'am, I just want to make sure that we're clear. This public hearing is to demolish.
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay, all right. Thank you, ma'am.
Question, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if I should ask it. I don't know. We're in public hearing. Do you have a place to move to, ma'am?
No, sir. That's another thing I want to ask y'all. Can he be made to fix up? Put us somewhere where he done got our rent money. But he still want us to pay rent. But no fix.
Is Mr. Honeycutt here?
No, he's not here. He's not here.
Well,
And
what I'm
he
afraid
don't
of,
never show
this is
up.
gonna be demolished and you won't have a place to live.
And can't he be mine find us somewhere to stay? He got our money.
That's not for us to decide here, ma'am.
Okay.
Have you talked with the housing authority?
No.
I'd suggest you talk with the housing authority.
Okay.
Their office is off of.
I know where it's at.
Okay, I would highly recommend you.
I'm on fixed income.
How much rent does he charge on your mobile home?
I don't give him a $300, but he said $4. And then if I don't give him that, I give him $2 because he don't fix nothing.
Well, her trailer, I'm a witness. Where she sits, had my mother-in-law been on the couch where she sat at that night. And for some reason, she likes sitting up watching a lot of Westerns at night. She was sitting there that night. I had went to bed, took my fiance, that is deceased now, which is her son, but this is still my mom. She was sitting there. I took him to work with my son, and the roof just, I'm laying in bed, she had done went to bed.
Fell.
The roof fell where she would have sat because it had a leak. And we told Richard 3 months before it needed to be fixed.
And he still ain't done it.
And he still ain't done it yet.
Right.
I had to pay to get somebody to fix it for her.
When were y'all notified that we were gonna have this?
So,
when was you
We
notified
that we were gonna
do all
talk
this?
about the demolishing.
well, see, they don't tell me nothing.
They don't never.
They don't
this
come.
poor little
They don't
lady
come
know
and talk to
nothing.
me. They don't come and tell me nothing.
Well, nobody tells nobody nothing over there. Richard don't communicate with nobody.
Nobody. This
Other
man
it's
right here
his
can
money,
tell
what
you
his
this.
money he wants that's owed to him. He don't talk to nobody.
You can tell that part, can't you?
Folks, I see your hand raised. I'll get to you in just a second.
Did you ever let Mom know that it was gonna be condemned?
And now he's saying it ain't gonna be condemned.
Yeah,
we
according to Richard, everything ain't going nowhere.
Nowhere. We ain't got to move.
Mr. Chairman, if you'd like, I can give you an update on the notices that were sent.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to.
Let me, Tim, hold on. Tim, hold on one second. Let me get through the public hearing on lot 1. Anyone else here to speak for or against the demolished lot 1? All right. Thank y'all.
The door they put up, on the side, you can look all the way through the crack like that.
All right. I'm gonna declare lot 1 public hearing closed. All right, Tim, go ahead, sir.
The notice for this particular hearing, each of the tenants were served either by myself or by, I believe, Justin Pugsley, I believe you served a couple. Yeah, Tom Morgan served a couple of them down there that day. So they were all served on the 12th, and also Mr. Honeycutt.
12th of September. 12th of September, Tim?
Yes.
Okay. That's what this public notice hearing says.
Yeah, they were
Okay.
They were notified then. Richard was also served with notice of this hearing.
All right. Thank you, sir. At this time, I will open up a public hearing on lot number 2 to demolish. Anyone here to speak for or against lot number 2?
Question, do we vote separately or vote one?
We got to get through all the public hearings first. You here to speak for lot number 2? All right, hold on. All right, hold on 1 second, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. If you don't mind stating your name, please, just for record.
My name is Caroline Johns.
Carolyn Johns?
Caroline.
Caroline Johns.
And I live in lot number 2. I've been living there since about the end of June. And Richard has no indication of telling me that he was under investigation or being an inspector of no sort. And when I approached him in beginning of August about this, he told me, don't worry about it, it's okay. You don't have to move, you don't have to worry about it. People talk too much. So in other words, to him, everything's hunky-dory, everything's fine. I have 2 small kids myself that I have to worry about. I have to tend to. I have to make sure the roof's over their heads. If you're gonna demolish number 2, just let me have time to find another place to take my kids, find another home.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Just for clarification, I'm John Taylor. I'm just cousins with Mrs. John, so I've just been helping these kids in school, and yeah.
Thank you, sir. We certainly appreciate it. Anyone else here to speak for or against lot number 2? All right, I will declare lot number 2 public hearing closed. At this time, I will open up a public hearing for ordinance to demolish lot number 4. Anyone here to speak for or against lot number 4? You coming up, Mr. Remsburg? All right. Yes, wait, we got one.
You have on your screen, the top one, to give you some ideas. Lot number 1 is the top photo on my left. And then lot number 2 is the one on the right on that top photo. The middle photo is of lot 1. The bottom 2 are of lot 2.
It says it on, we got it on our agenda packet.
Yeah, you should have.
Okay. And then lot 4 is the photos you should
Okay.
see on your.
All right, you're here to speak for lot number 4. All right, go ahead.
Yes, I live in lot 4. My name is Lori Marie. I live in lot 4. I rent from Richard. Been living with him for 3 years. So he has no trash pickup out there. He does not really want to fix up the places. Nobody's out there working. When they do not have permits. I'm the only one that had one. For lot 5.
Okay.
And my husband, he is sick now. He's on oxygen. I'm now on oxygen at night. I don't know if it's got something to do with the trailer or what. but my trailer has been fixed up on the inside. Got a headache.
So Tim, if I'm looking at this right, lot number 4, I can't tell what those pictures are. Look like you're missing inside. Look like you're missing a smoke detector or something.
There was no smoke detector. To my knowledge, there is no smoke detectors or CO detectors. State law requires there to be at least one CO detector and smoke detector in proximity to the bedrooms. There should be at least one within 10 feet of any bedroom in a rental property.
The insulation's showing overhead in this picture. There's a picture, looks like insulation to me overhead.
We're looking at, there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 photos.
Right.
And it looks like under where the step is, I can't tell what that is. I think that's what Commissioner Lawhon is talking about. Maybe it's water damage on there, Tim.
Yeah, there's significant water damage in all of these.
Yeah.
Okay. Step, looks like a step.
Also looks like the corner of the mobile home on the outside is split open.
Yeah, there are.
Is that something where was burned beside of that one picture, Tim, we're looking at?
Yes, that was where somebody had burned some rubbish.
Okay. And then there's another picture. It looks like a hole going under it. Is that the foundation or something?
That is the underpinning. Actually, if you'll notice on all of those mobile homes, they have sheet metal underpinning with no ventilation.
Okay.
And I think that's the reason most of the structural lumber in these mobile homes has rotted to the point that they're not safe.
Okay. All right. Anything else you guys like to say?
Anything else you want to say?
Thank you. Anyone else here to speak for or against lot number 4? All right, at this time I will close lot 4 public hearing. And I will open up lot number 6, public hearing, order to demolish lot number 6. Anyone here to speak for or against lot number 6? Come on up, if you would state your name, please.
My name is Laura Woods. I moved in to lot number 6 on March the 14th. I was not aware of it being under inspection. The home, he did not let me go look at the home before I rented it. I got to the home and I looked around and he said he was going to have somebody come out there and fix it. And when I found out about the inspections, I had called Mr. Honeycutt and I said, you know, can I have my money back so I can find somewhere else to live? Because I do have 2 special needs children in my home. He refused to give me my money back, so I was stuck having to live there. There is mold in my 15-year-old daughter's bedroom. It covers the floor. It covers the bottom of the wall. There are wires hanging out. There's the light fixtures and stuff in my room do not work. It is not livable for anybody at all. We had to, Mr. Honeycutt, the power is in Mr. Honeycutt's name, and he likes to cut the power off every month. I don't know why he likes to fight with us on that one. But the power, there is no power to the trailer as of right now. Me and my family have been in a hotel for a week. Tonight is going to be our last night at the hotel. It took every bit of money we had just to be in a hotel. I can't exactly go back to the trailer because there is no power. I cannot take care of 2 teenage children with the problems that my children have. They have severe breathing problems. They have asthma, reactive airway disease. And before Richard Honeycutt even rented me this property, he was aware of my children's breathing issues. But I guess he really didn't care. So pretty much I have nowhere to go with my children. The man that's standing beside me, this is my fiance, this is my daughter's father. He had came in to try to help us, you know, do what we could to try to fix up the place so we could, you know, at least try to live there. He knows more about construction stuff than I do. He can tell you more about what's wrong with the trailer than I can. And as you can see on the pictures, to me it is not livable, even for an animal. I don't even know why he even tried to rent it. And the fact that he did not tell me that the place was under inspection. Like I said, you know, that's pretty much all I have to say on it.
Excuse me, I got a quick question for you.
Because right now, me and my children are going to be homeless after tonight.
And Mister, when did he rent this to you? About how long ago?
I moved
March
14th.
In March.
Okay, thank you.
Are you paying $300 a month also?
No, I was paying $550 a month.
He also.
Does that include was that supposed to include utilities?
Huh?
That's supposed to include utilities?
No, sir.
No, no.
No. The utilities were left in Mr. Honeycutt's name, and I paid Mr. Honeycutt the utility money. And every month, even though I paid him the money, he'd still find a way to cut my power off, knowing my children have breathing problems. And that's just an issue I have to take up with Mr. Honeycutt on that. But like I said, it's...
When he cut the power off this time, he had them to jerk the meter out.
So I cannot take my children back there. Yes, my stuff is still there. So before y'all demolish it, just give me time to be able to get my stuff and my children's belongings out of the trailer.
Just curious say your rent was how much? $550 a month?
$550 a month.
And then say the power bill's $125 a month. You would give him the $550 plus the $125.
Yes.
And he's supposed to pay the utilities.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
As long as I have time to get my belongings out.
Yes, ma'am.
How much time is that?
Excuse me?
How much time you think before we get our stuff out?
Well, the hotel that we at, we just spent everything we had for it, so we have no money whatsoever right now until next month. Well, I'm on a fixed income, her son and daughter's on fixed income, so it costed us everything just to get this motel.
Are y'all familiar with Community Inn?
We're at Quality Inn.
Are you familiar with Community Inn, which is a space that they keep homeless people overnight?
Well, because of my children's conditions, they cannot be around so many people. So that would not be a legit place to try to take my children to. My daughter has a social disorder. They both have severe PTSD, and they both have autism. They can't be around big spaces of people that they don't know.
Okay.
So
My question was, how long will it take to get the personal items out of the trailer?
Really, to tell you the truth, I don't know, because we don't have no transportation whatsoever. So
yeah, I'm using
we
my
have
mom's
to walk
car.
everywhere we go.
I'm using my mother's car right now, and we're only being able to take little loads at a time. So I'd probably say maybe 3 weeks to be able to get everything out of it.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Anyone else for lot number 6? All right, at this time, I would close the public hearing on lot number 6. Now I will open up the hearing to ordinance to demolish lot number 7. Ms. Morton, let me give you these papers back. You might need those. Go ahead, sir.
We just moved in there like 45 days ago, and nobody told us any of this was going on. You seen the paper?
Yes, sir.
When we actually moved in, when we signed the lease, and I don't understand, why couldn't y'all had signs up saying this place is condemned or something? Y'all let me go get the power cut on. Apparently this stuff ain't just started here in the last few days. I mean, you know, y'all know Richard. Y'all know he's a con artist pretty much. I mean, this got us out of like $3,000 moving in here.
Yeah, we had to pay money.
And now we got to go try and find another place. It took us 4 months to find that place. And now we got to go find another place. And on top of that, now we're short $3,000 on this.
Is there any possible way we could get our money back out of this stuff?
I don't.
I mean,
Yeah, small claims court.
Small claims paper.
What y'all gonna do with Richard? I mean, y'all seen there that he was filing, doing fraudulent stuff there, leasing this out to us. Whenever the place is being closed, I guess it's just bad on us, ain't it?
Sir, I mean, sir, we just.
Could y'all at least, ain't that some kind of crime? Or he was ordered to shut this place down and he continues leasing it out to people?
Yeah, we didn't know anything about this. He had told us actually, he said, "Oh, just go look at the place and, you know, see how you like it and go ahead and pay me the money." Well, I went to pay him the money and he wanted first month's rent and deposit, but when I went to look at the place, it didn't even look livable.
Well, I mean, we had to go there because have y'all tried finding a place here lately? It's not just the prices of them, it's trying to find them too. They just ain't that many around.
I understand. I know it's tough out there. But I think Mr. Swearingen has been working with Mr. Honeycutt since February.
Hold on now. Yes, y'all been working with Richard Honeycutt.
Yeah.
How hard would it have been to put up a sign out there on these trailer doors saying that these places were going to be condemned, that all this was going on to... Because you also know Richard didn't tell anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So
and I mean, you can see our paper here when we moved in there.
All right, I'm gonna defer that question to Mr. Swearingen. He's the code enforcement officer, so I will defer that to him.
Per the North Carolina General Statutes, I don't have the authority to declare a property condemned. Only the governing board can do that. And we don't post the properties until after the governing board has made their decision and adopted ordinance declaring it to be.
So once the decision made tonight, which I know it don't help these folks out, but those properties will be posted as far as condemned.
Right, they will, based on your decisions tonight.
Yes.
Well, how
post them tomorrow.
Okay.
But we can't legally until the commissioners have voted and approved ordinances to declare them.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I mean, couldn't
Not
have
until
been...
after, you guys either approve or disapprove. And we do have a sign stating that it's uninhabitable and that it's a class 1 misdemeanor to enter or to occupy or to let. And there again, that's...
So how long do they have to vacate?
To pursue charges against Mr. Honeycutt for violation of that, you may can. That may be a Jenny question there or a district attorney question.
I mean, I know when we went out there was no signs up. Cause, I mean,
Well, legally we can't. The code enforcement officer can't post that until we have this public hearing and decide what's going to be done.
How was we supposed to know this was going on? Richard wasn't going to, if he wasn't telling anybody.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't answer that.
So like, say if y'all had gave us like, how long will we have to move to find something? Cause
I'm not sure. We'll figure that out. We'll figure that out here in just a minute.
How long would it take y'all to move?
It took us 4 or 5 months
us
to
at least
find a
4 or 5
place.
months to find
We
a
spent
place.
$3,000
Yeah.
getting in here. We've got to save money back up to get a place, to be able, cause it's not cheap getting a place.
Yes.
We understand.
We got to save the money up to do that now.
How much was your rent?
It was
$450.
$450 a month.
450, you had to pay a deposit.
We paid a deposit,
First
paid
month's rent.
another month's rent, we paid 2
$200
months'
deposit
rent.
on, get a power
And
cut on.
then we got the power cut on, that was, close to $300. We had to rent a U-Haul.
Yeah,
Y'all moved in July, I believe.
July 23rd.
Yeah,
July 23rd.
We signed the lease on the 23rd and we didn't get moved. It took us about a week to clean it up before we could move in there.
Yeah, we had to clean everything out, like haul, I think it was like 2 truck trips to get everything cleaned out of the house. They didn't tell us that there was a trailer to put the trash on, and it was sitting out there, we didn't know that, so I just rented a truck, and that costed me like $140. And we had to clean the trailer, take everything, you know, it costed us money, but.
Thank you guys. Tim, does Mr. Honeycutt live on this property?
If I'm not mistaken, he lives just off of West Main, there in town.
Okay.
Yes, behind his shop. It's a couple
Okay.
houses down
All right.
from his shop.
All right. Thank you. Anyone else here for lot number 7? All right. I will declare lot 7 public hearing closed. The last one I have is ordinance to demolish lot number 8. Anyone here to speak for or against lot number 8? Okay. Anyone else? All right, at this time I will close the public hearing on lot number 8.
I want to know if, I mean, y'all can give me a rough estimate, how long I have. I've got 2, my godparents are both on oxygen. I need to know how long I have to find them a place to go.
Yes, ma'am. We're going to try to sort that out here in just a second. Thank y'all.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir. I'm just
I'm
trying
here
to.
answer any questions you might have as far as the procedures or anything that we've done thus far.
Tim, I know this is probably not a question for you, but the only options they have would be small claims for Mr. Honeycutt. I mean, this is a shame. I mean, this
I
is.
think it'll be a civil matter between them and Mr. Honeycutt, right? Jenny making.
And I'm not asking for legal advice, Gene. I'm just curious. Yeah, I understand. I understand. No, I understand. I understand. All right.
Right. This is not legal advice, but I think you're right. I think it would be a civil matter between them and our landlord.
All right. I think some of the questions that we had now, the process that if we vote to demolish, how much time do they have? I mean, can they, when you post that sign, can they physically go back in there?
Not without letting us know, and I mean, we'd work with them to get their personal belongings out.
Right.
But unsupervised, I would say no.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Swearingen?
No, but I've been a commissioner for, I don't even know, but this is just a situation that I don't think we've really dealt with like this.
No.
This is a community of people here who care about each other. And Tim, I know, I've worked with him. I went on those work days with him, and he cares. And I worked with EMS, and we made a couple of calls out there to the trailers out there. And it's a tough thing because on the one hand, you want to have a roof over your head, but on the other hand, you don't want to be asleep at night and the wires catch fire and you burn to death. or the roof fell on the one lady. And I think you told me sometimes you got to worry about if there's a hole in the ground, the carbon monoxide could come in. It's just terrible. It's just a terrible thing. And I don't know if there's something that DSS can do to help folks find a place to live, or a state agency or something, or how there's help for that, or have caseworkers to help. I mean, this is it's just a terrible, terrible situation. And I know y'all just moved in, and you know, I know this is a shock to many of y'all. So we're in a tough quandary here.
Why wasn't the power cut off of these buildings so he couldn't rent them out?
The only one that the power was cut on was there was number 8. They were stealing power, and the city of Albemarle came out and removed the power. But then I think they made some arrangements to get the power turned back on. Like I say, each of these mobile homes were ordered to be vacated back in February. Well, I mean, actually in April, when we held the public hearing. Now, the general statute says we have to give them reasonable time, and then the statute goes on to define reasonable time as 90 days. I had let that time run out before we go to the next step, which was a reinspection. I talked with Richard and some of the tenants, and you know, it's been twice that long. It's been 6 months, nearly, since our original order. Richard was instructed not to move anybody else into these mobile homes. There was a couple of them that were vacant when we first started. He unfortunately moved some folks into those.
And then that's the question of remedy. What remedy, and if he did that, what remedy is there against him if he did that? I think that would answer y'all's question, is like, yeah, so. Or does the sheriff have to investigate? I don't know. That's the question. I don't know. I'm not a.
Yeah, that's maybe some legal questions that may be.
So Tim, I'm sorry.
I know we waited as long as we could and let this go as long as it could, you know, so that they could have time to find somewhere. But we've got to the point where, you know, we don't want to put them out without a shelter over their head, but we don't want them to be in a place that they're going to die from carbon monoxide poisoning or electric shock. Or
that was my next question. That if we do an order to demolish, can we put a date on that? Say, give them a week or something. But then again, where's the liability fall if we wait and something happens? Yeah, I know. I'm just asking questions because this is, yeah. Yeah, no, you're right. Okay.
So
you just got through saying that if they put a condemned sign on there, they can't go back in there without being accompanied.
Right.
So that would take care of that. But I just hate it for these people.
I know.
With no home and out a bunch of money and no place to go. Mr. Honeycutt has violated this, but I was against telling somebody what to do with their property. But the way I see these people have been hurting and he's been taking advantage of them, it's not going to bother me a bit to condemn it now.
Right.
But
I mean,
we still got, you know, if I understand this right, we're going to demolish it, and then we're going to put a lien on his property for the county demolishing it.
Right.
Can we not also put enough in that lien to cover these people's expenses too?
I don't believe we can. I think that's a civil matter between them and their landlord. I think the only thing that we can bill Mr. Honeycutt for is our expenses. That's all we can.
So,
bill him for. And to just like Mr. Honeycutt would have to do, if you know, if you choose to adopt the ordinances to declare these unfit and to declare that they be demolished and removed, we'll have to go through the same eviction process as a landlord would to have the folks move out. So But,
Are they any, and I know there's, I think Commissioner Lawhon had mentioned the community inn. Are they any organizations that we can give these folks to that might help them? I don't know if the Red Cross or.
Mr. Chairman, I was going, I've looked up the Albemarle Public Housing Authority or Department. Have any of you all ever been there and talked to were they accommodating?
Sir, I went and filled out papers for my godparents, and we have not heard anything yet. There is a waiting log at the Housing Authority 3 months back. They're 3 months behind.
All right. How many of you are familiar with Homes of Hope?
I have called them, they said they have a waiting list. Last time I called, they said at least 6 people ahead of me, and they don't really have that many houses.
Okay.
And I do know that the community inn allows people to spend the night. They'll feed you, spend the night, and they also have rooms for children. And that is located down off of South First Street. Yeah.
All right.
yes.
So even if we condemn tonight, the eviction process could take, what, 45 days? 45 at the
thereabouts, 'cause
fastest?
We'll have to give a 30-day notice in writing to
Right.
each tenant. And then after the 30 days has expired, then we would file a suit with the clerk of court's office. They will hear the case within, I think it's about 10 to 14 days, depending on
Yeah.
their docket. And usually, it's within 10 days to 2 weeks.
That's right, I said
It goes
45
before
days.
the
So,
claims.
so if whatever we decide tonight, if we decide in order in favor of this, you will post that tomorrow?
Yes.
And they would need to contact your office in order to get in?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
let me read something to these folks here. It's about Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Program. In which they give you a voucher, evidently, rather than a place to live, for you to find a house or an apartment. So the City of Albemarle Department of Public Housing offers a housing choice voucher program, also known as Section 8, to assist very low-income families, and some of you may not qualify, some of you may. Applicants who live and or work in Stanley County area receives a preference. Everyone who applies for a voucher is placed on a waiting list based on dates and times. But if you don't start it, you'll never get on that waiting list. So it says contact Darlene Hughes, who is a Housing Assistance Program Manager. It's 704-984-9580. And that's also at the Housing Authority office at 300 South Bell Avenue in Albemarle. So my recommendation to anyone that's looking for a house, to call them and ask them about the Section 8 Choice Voucher Program and tell them about the situation you're in. Because if you don't start it, it will never be finished. So start those steps I'm recommending that you all start those steps. And I think Brandon or either Peter mentioned social services. Do we have, who would they contact for possibly some help, if there's any?
They would just contact the main number for our social services offices, and they would triage them to the appropriate area of our social services, whether that be for special assistance or there's who have children, and so there's different programs depending on the situation and the living situation and the familial situation that they may have in terms of how old they are, demographics, children, things of that nature. But just contact social services, and they'll be more than happy to help them through that situation.
Jenny, well, since we did the public hearings individually, do we vote on this individually, or do we do all at one time? Okay. Yes, sir.
Just to understand the exact timeline, if you vote to condemn this evening, at what point would they no longer have access to their homes? Would it be at the moment the gavel drops, or would it be like after that 30-day time period? At what point would they need to begin to remove their belongings and just be done with the place?
So basically, I think what you're asking, where would they sleep tonight?
Right.
And for the next week? That's basically your question.
Yes, sir. That's basically my question.
It won't be, I mean, it won't be posted till tomorrow at the earliest. But
Actually, it's probably closer to 2 months, because the magistrate who hears the cases, if they are still there after the 30 days, they would do an order, and they would have a 10-day period after that to appeal the magistrate judge's ruling.
Does that help you? Sir, does that help you? It
Yeah.
could be up to
So they-
45 days to 2 months.
So clarification, if we vote tonight, it's like they can still go there and stay there for
Right.
until
But
until that process goes through.
I think so.
Legally, once it's condemned, my understanding, and Jenny can help on this legal issue, but legally, once it's condemned, it's condemned. Voluntarily, they can leave and then it's condemned, but if they make a decision to continue to stay, then it forces us to go through the evictions process and go through that, and that's a 30-day process, and then plus the extra time it takes for the magistrate and the hearing and all that, so.
So we can't forcibly remove them tomorrow.
Correct.
We have no control of that.
Right, now, if they voluntarily leave, that's great, but if they decide to make a decision that they're not leaving until we force them to leave, then we would have to go the eviction route, which would be at least 30 days.
yes, sir.
Just to clarify, y'all had mentioned that at some point, if they continue to stay in a condemned building, it is a misdemeanor. I believe you said a class 1 misdemeanor. At what point does it become illegal for them to be in the house? Is it after that 30-day period ends, or is it at the beginning of that 30-day period?
The general statute's kind of vague on that. I'm not really sure. I think they would have to be charged with.
Just given the nature of this situation, you know, I do understand it. Everyone's testimony seems to indicate that it is, and I don't live there. I'll be clear, I've never been inside one of these places. I've just driven by. You know, it does seem like there are significant health risks about being in there, but at the same time, it's not these people's fault. And you know, in general, just from my layman's observations, it seems like the state of our society is that, you know, many people in our nation from other states, and other states that are much wealthier than North Carolina, particularly the Northeast or perhaps California, they have a lot more money out there or up there, and you know, they come to North Carolina. Their dollars go a lot further than what we have down here in, you know, the common man in Stanley County. And the people who built Stanley County, these are the people being displaced. And you know, I think it's mostly Stanley County natives who have been here tonight who are in this situation. You know, it's not their fault. It's because of Richard Honeycutt and his nefarious schemes, and just the general state of our society that has contributed to these people's problem tonight. It seems a little bit too far for it to say it's illegal for them to be there. And I understand that it's not healthy. You know, there's some significant risks, and that's been made totally clear, right? But I suppose my thought is that perhaps we could, you know, just try to ensure a certain degree of leniency as they work through this. Because, you know, the last thing that they need are criminal charges as they're trying to find some new place to live. I just feel like I might add insult to injury.
All right, any more questions for Tim? All right, I'll go down the list. Ordinance to demolish lot number 1. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion.
All right, got a motion. Do I have a second? I hear a second, I'm sorry. Are there a second for lot number 1? All right. Let me ask this, instead of going down the list, not getting a motion, are they any appetite to do any of them?
We can't just let Richard Honeycutt just ignore the law.
I agree with you, sir.
And, you know, I feel for these folks. There are opportunities out there I do know that I think would help them. But
The only other thing I guess we could do is table it.
no, I don't.
If we're
Yeah.
if we're in discussion, this is sad, and I hate to put the motion out to condemn these properties, but you have a lot of folks out there. I know when my mother got older, her vision was going, her smell was, you know, her smelling ability was gone, so they started living in these conditions that really are not safe. And honestly, if you don't, and this is just a struggle for me, but I've been in these things before, and man, all it takes is someone to trip over an open wire, and there's holes in the floor. The one lady, the roof fell on her head, and it's just, some of these places are just terrible. So if we don't second vote and vote, you got a second right here.
All right.
I'm not in favor of Mr. Honeycutt getting by, but on the other hand, I'm looking at people that can't afford to move, and there's a waiting list everywhere. It'd be probably 3 months before these people can find another place. I don't like what Mr. Honeycutt's done. I think he needs to straighten things up, or need to condemn his place. But I can't look at these people and run them out of their home either.
All right, I have a motion and I have a second on lot number 1. Any more discussion?
Could we, question.
Yes, sir.
Could we, give a date that they vacate that is longer than 60 days?
Yeah, I think so. There's a minimum that you can give, but I don't think there's a maximum.
What's the minimum?
The general statute defines my order. I'm not sure about the legislative order, but the my order as a housing inspector is 90 days.
Okay.
But
Minimum?
But I think we're past that threshold.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Right,
but
so
if we
I
allow
think
the
they
tenants,
can give as much time as they want.
if we allow the tenants, let's just say 4 months, they got 4 months, so they don't have to pay Richard Honeycutt. And he may turn the power off. Of course, the power's turned off on some of these units. But if we don't do anything and somebody gets electrocuted or burned up in a fire, guess what? Stanley County's responsible. we're responsible. So it's a tough decision.
Mr. Chairman, I don't know if I'm out of line.
No, sir.
Make
Go.
a comment.
Go ahead, sir.
In one of the other jurisdictions that we had a interlocal agreement with, I had a house that was in similar shape. I ordered that it be vacated and closed until it could be demolished and removed. The folks continued to stay there for about 6 weeks before the house burned down. They were lucky they didn't get, I think one kid got some second-degree burns, but nobody lost their life. But everything else, the house was completely destroyed by the fire. They've had 6 months and more.
Mr.
I mean,
Honeycutt's
we
had
got it.
6
Yeah,
months.
well,
These people haven't. These people have only had a couple of weeks now.
then what happens if we postpone it? If some of these folks find a place to live, and then Mr. Honeycutt rents it to somebody that has no idea that it's going through that, and you have people in it again.
Well, I think if we do this, give them 60 days, you will post the property, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think that'll take care of that, Peter.
They would know, whoever's moving, if someone moves out and Mr. Honeycutt tries to rent it again, at least they would know, unless he rips the sign down, I guess. But
Well, can I amend my motion then to in 60 days or something like that? Or how does that work? We condemn, but they have 60 days to vacate? Is that?
But you'll still
You have that authority.
You would still post it.
Yes.
Tomorrow.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Correct.
Process, because even at the 60 days, if they decide to hunker down, still gonna need another 30 before we get evicted.
Right.
Correct?
That is correct, yes. Yeah, we have to give them notice and. I don't, no, that, yeah. Yeah. Well,
Numbers you would be 60, because you would have, if we voted to start in
Right.
60 days, you put the violation up, that they would have.
well, you want to address that?
If I may, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
if the board would look at each individual ordinance, Articles 2 and 3, they have sections, fill in the blank with the dates. So in Article 2, the ordinance would read, the owner of such buildings and premises is hereby ordered to vacate, demolish, and remove said dilapidated structure and all debris from the property by a date no later than blank. And then the same in Article 3, the second sentence there, the housing inspector is further authorized to direct to demolish and remove the above described structure on or after blank, fill in the date, in accordance with his orders to the owners. And Mr. Swearingen can add additional information here. But I would think if you wanted to put a date in each of those ordinances, either 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, however many days out, I would think Mr. Swearingen could go ahead and post the residences, but then that would give the owner and the tenants that amount of time that you choose to put in those blanks in each ordinance.
So you're referring to Article 2 and Article 3?
Yes, sir.
That's on page 61 of your agenda packet.
And there's actually an ordinance for each of the lots. And
Right.
So it would be, page 51, 53, 55.
Okay, I see the rest of them.
57, 59.
That's just the first one I got to.
Lot, 61.
So Article 2 says the owner in such buildings and premises are hereby ordered to vacate, demolish, and remove said dilapidated structures and all debris from the property by a date no later than. Okay, does that help you out, Peter? One of them's on page 56. Each lot has its own thing. Yes, sir. What's your motion, sir? Article 2 and Article 3. But it gives them initial 30 days, so you're actually getting 4 months. Right.
I'd like to amend my motion that all debris from the property by a date no later than January 31st, 2024. As I'd like to amend my motion to.
All right. I have a motion to amend to January 31st.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Hatley. Any discussion? You will post this, though, tomorrow. Okay. Any discussion? All right, we're in lot 1. Okay. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Lot 2. Same thing?
I'd like to make the same motion that they have no later than January 31st, 2024.
All right. Do I have a second? Second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Lot 4.
I'd like to make the same motion that vacated no later than January 31st, 2024.
Already 31 days in January? Okay. All right. I just want to make sure. I didn't know. All right. Do I have a second on lot 4? Second. All right. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Lot 6. Yes, sir. Do I have a second on lot 6? Second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Lot 7.
I'd like to make the same motion, January the 31st, 2024.
All right. Second, Commissioner Hatley. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Lot 8. Would you like to make that same motion, sir? Do I have a second? Second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman,
Thank you, Tim.
It's a heart-wrenching decision you've had to make tonight, but
It's
I
tough.
do appreciate
Thank you, sir.
each and every one of you and all the other work that you do for our county. Thank you.
Thank you for spending time on this. Yes, sir.
January 31st, right?
Yes.
2024, yes, sir.
Okay, so there's no chance, like, you're not gonna come out and cut power off on us.
We're not. We're not. But now I don't know what Mr. Honeycomb will do.
Well, I'm saying we're paying our power bills and everything.
You're paying your own that's in your name?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. You're fine.
So you're fine then.
Yes, sir. Good luck, too.
Please start looking.
Yeah, and reach out to anybody that you can.
And the 31st is on a Wednesday.
All right. Would you have something else, Peter? Are you guys okay with taking about a 5-minute recess? All right. We're recessed. Libraries Week proclamation. And our presenter is Commissioner Brandon King. Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just want to let everybody know what the Friends of the Library actually do. I mean, they really go out and help supplement the library's money. So where the county or state don't fund, they step in and do that. And the Friends of the Library Week is going to be October 15th through the 21st. So I just want to read this proclamation, if that's okay with everybody.
Yes, sir.
Whereas Friends of the Stanley County Library raise money that enables our library to move from good to great, providing resources for additional programming, much needed equipment, support for children's summer reading, and special events throughout the year. And whereas the work of the Friends highlights on an ongoing basis the fact that our library system is the cornerstone of the community, providing opportunities for all to engage in the joy of life, long learning, and connect with the thoughts and ideas of others from ages past to present. And whereas the Friends understand the critical importance of well-funded libraries and advocate to ensure our library system gets the resources it needs to provide a wide variety of services to all ages, including access to print and electronic materials, along with expert assistance and research, readers advisory, and children's services. And whereas the Friends' gift of their time and commitment to Stanley County Library System sets an example for all in how volunteerism leads to positive civic engagement in the betterment of our community. Now, therefore, it be resolved, the Stanley County Board of Commissioners proclaim October 15th through the 21st, 2023 as Friends of the Library Week in Stanley County, and urge everyone to join the Friends of the Library and thank them for all they do to make our library system and enhance our community. Adopted this day, this second day of October 2023.
Thanks, sir. I'm assuming that's a motion from you, sir.
That is a motion, yes, sir.
All right, do I have a second?
You don't want me to read it again, do you?
No, you're fine. Second. Any more discussion? I thank all the folks at the library and what they do. I came by there the other day and they had a food truck or something out front. So that was great. All right. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Commissioner King. Next item is item number 8, jury commission appointment. Our presenter is County Manager Lucas.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Tate Daniels' second term on the commission expired at the end of September. He's agreed to serve again if reappointed to another 2-year term, which would end at the end of September of 2025. The commissioners appoint one member to the jury commission. The remaining members are appointed by the clerk of court and superior resident court judge. They meet usually on an irregular basis, a couple times a year. And so before you this evening is a request to reappoint Mr. Tate Daniels to the jury commission for a 2-year term expiring September 30th, 2025.
All right. Thank you, sir. What's the pleasure of the board?
I make a motion to reappoint Tate Daniels.
All right. Have a motion, and I got seconds all over the place. Tyler, just pick one. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is item number 9, public hearing, fiscal year 25, 5311, admin only.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Before I get to this item, I'd actually like to take the chance just to introduce our new SCUSA director to you. Mr. Steve Dutton is in the audience this evening.
Mr. Dutton.
Steve, if you want to come down and maybe just say a couple words, I'm sure the board would oblige.
Welcome, sir. Welcome to Stanley County.
Thank you. And I look forward to the opportunity. About the only thing I can tell you today is that I'm so confused I'm going to have to sleep on it tonight and start fresh in the morning. But it's been a very eventful day today, and wonderful folks there, which I knew that coming in. And I look forward to serving the citizens of Stanley County and in this position and working with y'all as well.
Well, thank you, sir. If anything we can ever do for you, let us know.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Steve.
So the action item before you this evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board, is for us to apply for the fiscal year 24-25 5311 grant. This is for the admin side. Administrative funds, the request is $272,539. 15% local match, estimated at $40,881. That will help offset benefits for our 3 full-time and 1 part-time staff, vehicle insurance, drug testing, daily office operations. So I'd ask you that you hold a public hearing, and then after the public hearing, consider approval of the resolution for us to apply for the fiscal year 24-25 5311 admin only grant.
All right, thanks, sir. At this time, I will open up a public hearing regarding the fiscal year 25 5311 grant. Anyone here to speak for or against? Hearing none, I will declare the public hearing closed. What's the pleasure of the board?
I make a motion that we approve 5311 for the admin only grant to apply for.
All right, I have a second by Vice Chairman Barbie. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The next item is actually the 5311 capital grant. This is for fiscal year 24-25 as well. We'll be seeking the $130,000 with a 10% local match of $13,000 to replace one 20-foot LTV with lift and then the agency lettering. Estimated cost is about $129,550. Lettering's $450. So I'd ask for the board to hold a public hearing and then to approve the resolution for the county staff to submit the grant application for the 5311 capital for the $130,000 grant, or $130,000 grant with the $13,000 match.
All right, thanks, sir. At this time, I will open up a public hearing for fiscal year 25 5311 capital only. Anyone here to speak for or against? Hearing none, I'll declare the public hearing closed. What's the pleasure of the board?
Make a motion that we approve the staff to apply for the 5311 capital funds grant.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second by Commissioner Hatley. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is item number 11, tax administrator reappointment. I was wondering what Clinton was doing here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. It's my pleasure to recommend to you this evening the request that you reappoint Mr. Clinton Swearingen as tax administrator for a term beginning October 29th, 2023 through October 28th, 2027. That would be a 4-year term. He's coming up on the end of his a 4-year term. During the past 4 years, he had a very uneventful 2021 reevaluation in terms of customer service. Obviously, there was, people have questions about their taxes and what's going to happen with that. But from a customer service perspective, the reval went really well, as did the 2017 revaluation. And our tax rate, or our tax collection rate, has gone up over that same time period. I mean, he's done a very good job of working with our tax collection staff to ensure that we're trying to capture as much of that revenue as possible on an annual basis. And our tax collection rate has steadily increased during Clinton's tenure. And so I would ask the board consider the reappointment of Clinton Swearingen to the position of tax administrator for a 4-year term effective October 29th, 2023 through October 28th, 2027, and also to approve his tax administrator public official bond in the amount of $100,000.
Thanks, sir. All right, what's the pleasure of the board? Yes, sir, Commissioner.
Make a motion that we reappoint Clinton Swearingen as tax administrator from October 23rd, is that correct?
October 29th, 2023 until October 28th, 2027.
Okay. That's my motion. Yes, that too.
$100,000. All right. I have a motion and a second for the reappoint Mr. Swearingen for his 4-year term and his official bond. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Clinton, thank you so much again for sending the postcards every year. I really appreciate that. All right, next item is consent agenda.
I make a motion we approve the consent agenda.
I have a motion, and did I hear a second, Commissioner King? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Board comments, announcements, and committee report. Commissioner King, I'll start with you, sir.
I appreciate everybody coming out tonight. Jody Haycock spoke in the comment section, public comment section, with the URA harm reduction situation. I don't know who monitors that or who's over that, but I would like to see something where we're doing the one-for-one exchange again, so we're just not littering the streets with that situation. I don't know who we need to speak to about that, but we need to try to figure something out with that.
I'll take responsibility for reaching out to Bob, and I'll work with our health department staff, Wendy and Doja, work to make sure we get that communication sent to him.
Thank you, sir.
Work on making sure that they're accountable to that.
I really appreciate that. And, you know, tonight's one of them situations that you hope you never you have to see in a situation like this. And it's really just, it's disgusting to know that we have people in the community that would treat other people like this. But it was a hard decision tonight, and I hope that we made the right one. So thank you guys for everything.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Shudo.
I just want to echo a little bit of that. I think, this was probably the toughest meeting because you have folks out there living from check to check. And then, I think we worked together and come up with a good compromise to help them get out of there and find places to live. And hopefully, I don't know what could happen. I don't know if there's someone from the DSS or somewhere that could reach out to the people because we have their addresses, to see if there's anything they can do or if they have to initiate the call. I don't know, but they evidently need help doing. Some of the folks, the one lady said in the earlier thing that she couldn't read. So if she's getting notices, she couldn't read. A couple others don't have vehicles. So thanks to, I think we worked together and come up with a good compromise to hopefully help them out. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, sir. Commissioner Hatley. Commissioner Lawhorn. Vice Chairman Barbie.
I just want to say I, too, think this is one of the toughest meetings. Look out and see the people sitting there with a problem that they didn't create and very upset with their landlord. I hope we get everything worked out for them.
Thanks, sir. Tim, I appreciate all your hard work on that. That's got to be hard to seeing day to day and going in those situations. And, no fault of the people that were here. They just want a place to live. They wanted a nice place to live where, they work hard, or some of them's on disability and some of them have medical issue. And if you got room in your prayers tonight, we need to say a prayer for all those involved in that, because that's a tough situation that, there's people out there that take advantage of folks like that. Thank you guys for all that you do. Remember Commissioner Crump also in your prayers. And our next meeting is October 16th. We go back to
Mr.
2 a
Chair,
month. Yes, sir.
One thing for you. I want to congratulate you for being nominated for the Bulldog Hero Award. Very proud of you for that.
Well, thank you, sir. That was an interesting experience, but thank you so much. Again, our next meeting is October 16th. At this time, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. So move. Second. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Thank y'all. Thank y'all for coming.